Well, happy prosperity day, everyone. I really like that song from War. Gypsy Man. So, what's up, folks? Hope you had a great weekend and that you're living your dream. Because if you look at it in a certain way, if you're not living your dream, then what are you doing here? Isn't that the question? You know, Hello there, Steiger. Looking at myself in there as we pull the bus out. Yeah, it is comfortable and it is relaxed. The tunes are good. And if you, I love that song, by the way. Follow the link on that one. I want to, what was it? I want to get closer to Christ and to Wayne. Yeah. The guy wanted Wayne to touch him, touch his soul, touch his spirit. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to touch our spirits, touch our soul. That's a good question. So, those of you who believe you have a soul, have you ever touched it? How do you know? I lay you odds you've never seen your soul. How about your spirit? You ever seen your spirit? What does it look like? Now, you can come back and be a wise guy and say, well, I see myself in the mirror. I'm the image of it. Nah, 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 nah. This is for deep thinkers. What? I asked the question last week, you know, how is your soul? What color is your soul? Um, you know, Getting right down to it, that if a person grew up in a certain culture and they pass on, are they going to go into a similar culture that they can have reference and to? Or is it, bam, baby? Slapped in your face with a whole new reality, hanging out with souls that you would have never hung out with on earth. And don't tell me that your soul's so damn righteous and that it shines so bright over there. Listen, we all have biases. We all have our own prejudices. So how's that work out? Anyway, deep thoughts for the day. Let me just speak favor over us all because we need it, need a lot of it. And I think was actually going to title this one, storm warnings because the flags are flying. You know what I'm saying? So nothing missing, nothing broken. How's everybody in the chat room? Let me go. Hey, Cass, how are you, my sweetie? Good to see you. As I go there and go all the way back, I saw Fireflies, what's up? And Joyce, good to see you. Deborah, how's everything? And I see myself. Hey, Grace, what's up? Go all the way from Croatia. What's up? Good to see you. Hello, Lauren. Good to see you, my love. How are you? How was your weekend? Spring is coming. Yeah, it's been a long, cold winter. I was going to say summer. Like, no, let's don't even think about that. Know yourself. What's up, Shirley? Good to see you, Emperor Rex. Mary wins. Much love to you, darling. You trying to get closer to Christ and Wayne? Huh? Someone sent me that, and I just cracked up when I saw it. It was like, geez. Jet, good to see you. And James, hello, what's up? Jap, is it Klein? All the way from Holland. Welcome. Thank you. Uh, Glad to have you here. Hope you find it to be a place that you would come back to many times. Good people here, really are. Like Street Mom. How you doing, Brenda? Good to see you, dear. DC, what's up? And as I go, hello, Nina. What's up, girl? Good to see you. Hello, Lori and Bonnie and Rick. Warmest salutations right back at you, brother. Lost in Space. Good to see you. Clever Gypsy and Lynn. And boy, lots of people in here. Kaz, how are you, sweetie? Got to get you back on. Haven't seen you in a while. Love to hear what's up with you. Sylvia, good to see you as well. Gilbert, how are you, brother? Good to see you. And so I think, Clever Gypsy, hello. I think I got everything. Stephen, good to see you. So, but Cass says, I love a bit of Northern soul. Yeah, I like soul music. Yep. Soul music. That's some of the best music. I mean, I just want to tell you. It's like Luther Vandross. We'll have to get him into the playlist. I love Luther Vandross. Good stuff. So, um, our title today is What Are They Afraid of? And holy crap on a cracker. There is, wow. You know, there was a time when they tried to reflect all this fear upon us, and then many of us, we broke free of that. But those who try to inflict that fear now has reaped the reward of reverse karma because the fear is all over their ass. They smell like fear, and they might have good reason to be such. Um, I made a comment that dividing water into its separate parts. No, we don't know how to make new water. Our science says that, it's two molecules, a hydrogen and an oxygen, and that, well, if you look at this, some believe that the most abundant thing in space is water. I don't know. Next time I'm out there, I'll let you know. But welcome, good to see you. Good to have you here. We love good, deep thinking, Mr. Mission. What's up? Here, eat some fear. It's yummy. Yeah, I mean, so I'm going to make some predictions here. So get out your um, pencils and paper recording devices because I'm going to like make some predictions here. So, one of the things you will be seeing, trust me on this, you're going to see members of Congress and I think one or two sitting senators that will be doing the perp walk. Yeah. And folks, this has got the deep state really afraid. They haven't had this kind of fear, I don't know, ever. You see, there's more to physical reality than what we're taught and perceive. Death is more than just the dying of a physical body. There isn't any higher form of sacrifice and worship than to offer a human body as a sacrifice. And that's done, Lauren Bobbitt, J6. She was murdered by that DC cop. He murdered her. But that, well, you see, and I made a video on the Steiger perspective. Go back and check that out. I got down into the details, understanding what took place. You see, they made an offering to a god, and that god rejected it. And now they're fucked. I mean, they're so fucked, they're beyond fucked, and they know it. And when they tried to do the same for Trump, it the blowback was everywhere. And now there is something unfolding that when you get those parasites that are in power, the bureaucrats, the ones that have the no, never voted for, they're faceless, but they're the ones who are dictating reality. You see, they thought they had the occult figured out. There was a huge gap in their understanding, their knowledge. And now they're reaping the whirlwind. Now, this is going to have some of the thing. John Brennan, my prediction, he will be arrested by the Department of Justice because the CIA is going away. Now, a lot of people don't believe that, but things are changing, folks. But him and the other 50 who signed a letter, they were traitors. They knew it was a lie. They put it out there as false propaganda to sway and to direct a whole flow. Now they think because they're so entrenched into the deep state that the deep state is exempt. Nothing is exempt from spiritual laws. There's retribution to be for sure. It's how it works here. I don't know what it does in other realms, but I know here it happens. And so you have certain people now. Who would have ever thought that you would have seen supposed men and women of integrity, right? That's why they got elected. No, they got elected to get fucking rich. That's what it is. How do you explain congressmen who are so, their ass is so broke ass, they can't rub two pennies together, and then fucking miraculously, 4 years later, they're millionaires off a 140,000 year salary. And now they're scrambling. They know it's coming. And now they're afraid. And when you corner an animal who is in fear, that's when they're the most dangerous. Many of these who know that they can't run. The accountability factor is here. They can't run. There's nowhere to run to. And when you have these individuals that are in this state of mind, listen, it's not the fact of prison that scares them. What it scares them is to be stripped of their power. That's more frightening than anything that can ever be. And again, when you cage these animals into a corner, they will strike back. Um, to use the expression, the nuclear option, slash and burn. We're seeing right now, um, folks, this is going to have huge ramifications going forward. It's happening now. It can't be stopped. And we right now, we're the United States, the government, the corporation is in civil war. You see, the United States is a corporation. We all know that, right? That's why you got Washington, D.C. That's why the federal government can't be in any state. It's a corporation. And now you have people who have been so entrenched. I mean, they're parasites. They may work on an average day 2 hours and they get paid for 8. And they think they're beyond accountability. But the Civil War, folks, and that's what it is. I predict, and this is my prediction, that you will see the government will be forced to shut down. And not because of Congress, and Congress has adjudicated their responsibility. Listen, these Congress people should be put on under oath and explained why did they allow this to happen. It's Congress. Continued resolutions is not a budget. How many of you live on a continued resolution? No, we don't. But yet you have Congress people who are just lazy. You look at their record, time they don't show up, but yet they're making deals. In my manifesto, reforming the United States government, particularly Congress, is that every person who runs for Congress, first of all, has to show us their FICO score. What's your credit score? Because if you're a deadbeat, don't pay your bills, son of a bitch, and you come in and you want to start living off high off the hog off the American people, those are the people you don't want. Unfortunately, they're in there. Then we need to see an IQ test. We need to see how you cognitively think. Yeah, those two alone. And then you completely make it illegal for any lobbyist. And no member of Congress or the Senate can join a legal firm or a lobby firm when they get out, when they decide to either get beat or no reelection. They can't become a lobbyist. And this is what these law firms have. Don't you know what K Street is? How many of you have been in D.C.? You've been a lobbyist before. Raise your hand. Yeah. Do you know what K Street is? That's where you go for the power, baby. That's where Oz starts, right on K Street. So I'm riled up on this one because it's coming. I had some strange dreams and it was like weird. But it's going to see, you're going to see a massive federal employees walkout. You see, the law is being followed now, and they don't like it. They got that hippie thing going on, far out, man. They've been at home smoking their ganja and, working off a computer. And hell, that's kind of easy. You only have to do 1 or 2 hours a day, if that, maybe. And now that daddy has come home, now everybody is scrambling. It's interesting to see what other presidents have attempted to do. Doge is nothing new. You had the same thing happen. I remember back in Bill Clinton, accountability, big deal. Barack Obama, same thing, you know. But you ain't hearing the narrative. And folks, that's why we know that this is the desperation that's taking place. They're casting spells in the newscast and all the headlines. Folks, those are spells. Because if they get you to believe it, then you fall under it. And so the inevitability is out of the 2 million federal workers, I'll guarantee you're going to see a group walk out. And it may have a domino effect because these people do not want to be under supervision. They don't want to have to account for their hours. They don't want to have to account for anything. And it's amusing for me sitting back this and going, this is how business works. The government is a business. They tried to say bureaucrats are not employees. The hell they aren't. There's no one above not being fired, including the president. I mean, it happens every 4 years, right? So this madness that is here already. I didn't, I heard about this, I guess, maybe a couple years ago. Trump derangement syndrome. I mean, my head's not there. My head's in what we're going to be getting into. We're going to be getting into this because it goes with our study of the god Saturn. So I had this strange dream, and I've had this dream reoccurring since Christ, I mean, decades ago. And it's the same thing. It's this thing. It's big. It's in space. Anyway, I digress. Let me get back to where I was at. How the hell do you get back to where you are when you don't even know where you are? But anyway, so now that there is accounting, I mean, how many of you out there in your jobs do you have to clock in and clock out? I think every federal employee should do it. I don't care if you're in the Department of Justice, the CIA, the Pentagon. By God, if you're getting a paycheck from the American taxpayer, clock your ass in, clock yourself out. We'll be able to follow you and determine whether you are competent enough to have that job. I don't want that. Oh, no, 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 no. I mean, they're addicted to a drug that's more dangerous than fentanyl. You see, they've been living off the sugar tit of the American taxpayer. And now you take that tit and that sugar away, and oh man, they're going to throw a fit. I mean, they're going to throw a tantrum. Yeah. And the problem is, if they throw tantrums, they know the system. They can really jack with it. Wonder what happens then. Um, But getting back to this Trump derangement syndrome, I have never seen anything like it, man. I mean, listen, I'm just a dude. I came into this reality and have seen a lot, and you learn a lot. I'm spiritual in my nature because that's who and what I am. I have endowed gifts, but everybody does to a degree. And I've been through the religious thing. I've been through the politics things. Folks, I can tell you of some of my associations of the past, and your jaw would drop. But you know something? You see, even a fool seems wise who keeps his mouth shut. I'm not saying I'm a fool, but every wise man starts out as a fool. It's just the way it is. And you learn something. You learn something that there is this palatable, it's tangible, it's alive, this power, and it's addicting. It changes your brain waves. And the more you get into it, the more it alters you. It's just the effect. And I've learned some things. I've seen the very wealthy and I've seen the very poor. And at the end of my time here, neither one is above or beneath the other. They're equally the same. And then that's where the mystery is why. But I digress. uh, uh, yeah, and this is why I like talking about politics. But you see, politics is the religion. Politics came first. The religion came second. And because they're synonymous with one another, they're symbiotic. If you have religion, you got politics. If you got politics, you got religion. And I want to tell y'all something. You see, when I left Christianity and stepped through that doorway, that precipice, there was no going back. You can't. It really is a one-way door. And I learned that there are laws, there are ways, and there are things that are right before our eyes, but most people don't see it. And every politician I know worships something. Now, what that something is, it varies, but they do. And when you see individuals that have that power, that are in that currency, um, it'll suck you in. I mean, it's parasitic in nature, and you're forever marked, even if you leave the politics, the religion, you still got a mark on you. You're going to pay a price. To walk away makes you higher than the one percenters. True story. You learn things about yourself. There was, in the past, I was at a dinner meeting with some key executives of this publicly traded company. We had a technology that the world didn't have. And when I leave this planet, at least I know certain things. I've been tested. And this one, I was offered a lot of money, a lot of stock, a position guaranteed, and all I had to do was sell out my partners. Oh, they'd be taken care of, but that's all I had to do. It was over dinner, and I can tell you exactly who was at that table. And it didn't take me a second to respond. Now, some people would have thought that I would have gotten up. No, I liked the meal that I was having. I'm damn sure going to finish the meal, and the wine was exceptional. So, you know, no fool on that one. But I just simply declined it, said no. And I remember leaving that restaurant knowing that I had set a course now. And oh shit, there was some ramifications. Oh man. But I remember sitting in the car, rental car I had. It was in Atlanta. And I looked at the mirror and I could have used the money. I mean, seriously, I had lost everything. I was homeless at one point. But I remember looking in the mirror, and that's maybe the first time I can probably say maybe I did see my soul. And in fact, I had this conversation. I remember, and the exact words are, I'm right there right now. And I looked at myself and I said, well, you certainly now know where people now know where you stand. And then they had that small little voice in the back going, what the fuck did you just do, man? What? What did you do? Seven figures. Yeah. So anyway, I digress. So let's get back into what they're afraid of, because the thing about it is, you now have for the first time those who've never really had to defend, and now they're having to defend, and they don't know really how to do it. The old ways aren't working, and what they're not understanding is that when they tried to make this sacrifice, and that sacrifice was rejected. Listen, you say what you want, believe what you want. For me, I saw it from a totally different perspective, what took place on July 13th. And you can call it divine intervention. You can call it alteration of timelines. You can call it a number of different things, and every one of those would be valid. But nevertheless, I saw it that they had offered Trump as a sacrifice. This was planned out. You don't go to a god or a deity and say, hey, listen, what we're going to do is that we're going to offer up a sacrifice. And what we're wanting from you is that we want to be fully entrenched in power. We want to alter the landscape into our form of reality. And for this, we will put human blood on your sacrificial altar. Now, you read about cultures, societies, secret societies who are into the bloodletting. Christianity is a blood religion. Well, virtually every one of the religions are a blood religion. But you have to go behind the altar, and you got to see what the playbook is. And here's what I'm trying to say, and this has impact on you and I. And that is, if a sacrifice is rejected, oh man, that ain't good. I mean, there's some places in the spiritual realm that you don't want to be in or around. And there's things that impact that bleakness, that darkness that comes here. And which tells me that maybe there was a change of management on the other side. Trump, for all practical purposes, should have been dead. National television. I could compare it to the book of Revelation where the two prophets, remember? They have a headshot. Now, it would have been really freaky had he gotten up off the stage if that had happened. Something stepped in. Say what you want. I know what a 223 is. And you're talking milliseconds. So, nevertheless, the sacrifice was rejected. This spelled bad news for anyone who was part of that pact. And if you see what's taking place now, there's been an ascension to power, and power is real. We all know that. And now this is a full-on civil war. We are right now in the midst of a civil war. The difference between the first one and this one, well, actually, there isn't any difference. The first one started the same way. There was a coup in the government. There was a split in ideologies. Again, politics is the chief headstone of religion. That's where we are right now. And we all need to be aware that there's other things happening. I'm often drawn to the thought, is it because where we are in astrology terms, aren't we in Neptune, the influence of Neptune? There's always war, always is. And the alignment that we're in is we've been here before, and every time we are, there is a world war. There's change of empires, there's change at the top. And again, with our study that we did on Friday, getting in with this god Saturn, that's exactly what this god does. It's what this god is involved with. So, having said that, YouTube just censored me telling you are a very basic spell. Hey, whether I be basic or whether I be not, at least, it's still the spell, right? Abracadabra. That's what it means. And that's what we all do. We all cast our spells. Wasn't that sung by America? You can do magic. You can do anything your heart desires, darn well, when you cast your spell. So come along. Hey, Gaia, how you doing? And you got to learn to laugh. Man, when you get into these type of subjects, because people are so polarized in it, and you just have to remain that intelligent being that you are. And us intelligent beings, we're really good with a sense of humor. That's how you can tell someone's really intelligent. What is the level of their sense of humor? Mm-hmm. That's all I got to say. Uh, hey, look who's all buzzed. As I look over here, the ancient gods are awakening. Yes. Y'all see who that is? Let me see as I look over here. Yeah, something else going on over here. There's a lot of going on. Mike and Cindy, how are you doing? I've been thinking about you too. Um, I'll be reaching out on this. Yeah, but welcome. So good to see you in the chat. Honored. I just got to tell you, dishonored. Love it. Uh, seeing it going. Colleen says the Pope is about to die. That is another sign. I mean, there is this change. And, I got this from my Pentecostal background. Actually, where I think I really got this was, at the age of 16, taking enough trips of LSD, mescaline, that I visited so much on the other side, because that's what LSD does. It it allows you to be in two different places, sometimes more at the same time. I mean, that's why you can sit down and do the tracer thing. You're seeing time in its simplest components. I digress. But it was through that and the training I got that when you start seeing the upheavals here, and we're in an upheaval. I mean, it's happening all over the world. Something in the spiritual realm has happened. Something has taken place. Um, I get the sense I'm reaching out, excuse me, to my dragon, and it's what this dragon. And if you go back, that's the great thing about having this channel. There's a video diary. Go back to last summer when I was having these intense meetings with this dragon. Um, Things were changing then because Earth in our timeline, we lag behind the timeline of the ethereal realm, the spiritual realm, and they do have a time. Um, how does prophecy work if they don't have a time? I mean, you can't have a be like the prophet Jeremiah, the weeping prophet, right? Couldn't be like Elijah, right? Never tasted death, right? So how could they make, John the Revelator, There is a time in that next realm, which kind of tells me that that isn't the real next realm. I don't know if it's an intermediate spot, but And maybe there is always going to be time, but I digress. The point is that something has changed. There's new management. Now, I don't know if it's the a new kid on the block, you know, everybody loves you. Got the Eagles in my head. It's a new kid in town. But I digress. No, I don't. I like that song. It's a great song. Um, so I don't know if it's a new player or if it's one that somehow or another, maybe there was a deal, maybe there wasn't, but they've come back with a vengeance because everything is being turned upside down. And folks, don't think that your spirituality is exempt. You need to get prepared that something will attempt to challenge where you stand. Do with it what you want. So, what are they afraid of? They're afraid of a lot. They're afraid of channels like this, Mike and Cindy's, uh, others, many of them, Roberts, Nina. They're afraid of when people are gravitated towards something that is outside the preview of what is socially acceptable um, knowledge. Then you're going to get labeled. Every one of us have been, you know. They got a label maker. Bing, Um, because this occult thing, these grimoires, these books that have either most of them all been channeled in one form or another. And they're particularly afraid of individuals like you and I who go out and have the audacity, the nerve, the gall, the balls to go out and talk to these other spirit entities. And I think that's what's happened. You can correlate the spiritualist movement and activity, greater heights of activity in the spiritual realm. If you go back and study spiritualism, you'll see there is a direct correlation that begins to happen directly down here. Now, this channel, we make it we don't hide the fact that we don't believe that the narrative that has been taught is correct. And we do things here, as someone said, Steiger, you know, you go out into places where most people don't do. Why not? Yeah. Have I gotten my ass kicked? Hell yes. But you learn. Yeah. It's like, okay. Hello, Lilith. How are you doing, darling? Um, the ghosts are loose. I agree with that. Yeah. But I'm telling you, just be prepared to be challenged. Because if your spiritual beliefs are not challenged, then I would dare say that you have fallen under your own spell. Um, Mine is all the time. Nothing wrong with that, right? So, so the knowledge that we read, we discuss here, because we like all. I mean, this whole thing with DEI, I never understood that because it's the most backwards thing that you're wanting to accomplish. I've said this, and many of you have looked on my LinkedIn profile, and it's amazing sometimes. But I've said this that the one thing corporations are missing is that they don't have that spiritual insight. And I'm not talking about a religion. I'm talking about us as ascended beings. If we truly are sovereign, and if there truly is this hierarchy that exists on the other side, then that means that either we are just new at this or we are already members of those communities on the other side. Who'd have thought that when I was 30 years old, that when I was going to about to be 70, that I would end up embracing philosophy, free thinking, cognitive challenging of thought, challenging myself. and facing that which I faced, and realize when you come here, you get that's what growing old helps you to do, is that you remain, as I said, just an older youth, that's all. Just got to see things. And the best thing is that I've been blessed, favored to see things that the vast majority, the 99.999%, never give thought to. And that's why I find it to be such a privilege and a lot of fun. It's just fun being here with y'all. I mean, if it wasn't fun, then what the freak are we here for? It's just fun. And it should be always be fun. Challenging our thoughts, questioning the narrative should always be fun. Not to say you're going to have other emotions thrown in there, you know. So that's all. Hey, Dan, always the trip inside. That's why you talk to yourself. I talk to myself all the time. I enjoy it. I need to talk to someone who's at least as intelligent as I am. And I found myself to be that person. But we all do. Now, why? Well, that's a question, you know? And Deborah says, me too. Yeah, I mean, we really do. I embrace myself. You know, I'm a complicated, I am so perfectly imperfect. I mean, that's just not random. And it's like, wow, you know? And if this is a continuation, if that central spark, you know, that set off all thought, then that's the moment that we all came into this reality in one way or the other. I don't know. Did we want to leave? I don't think so. Uh, Lauren says, I love living alone aside from the cats because it allows me to talk to myself frequently. Yeah, it does. We need to embrace ourselves. You know, so many of us here, and I tell you, I've gotten some emails that just, wow, um, challenges in their bodies and they're being attacked. Disease is an attack. Cancer is a name, and cancer is an enemy. It attacks. It tries to, you know, take over. And that's why I keep leaning towards, if we had a show, and I'm just going off the beaten path here, just brainstorming, that where the intent was, you see, I believe that if you heal here first, then this will heal as well. I mean, it's my body, it's me. I can speak to it. I bless it. I don't curse it anymore. I know people who curse themselves all the time. It's like, whoa, what are you doing, man? But I have found that, and when Mike and Cindy were on last Thursday, we talked about this. Um, More people are soul sick than they are anything else. Even those who seem to have their shit together. I think we all could use soul healing. And I'd like to maybe think about, if we had a dedicated hour to that. Mike, Cindy, what do you think on that? I'm speaking out because I know y'all are listening. Um, that we deal with the healing of the soul. As your soul prospers, so shall your body. Yeah, that's scripture. Yeah. So, yeah, that's just me. And I think it would be an immense help as a community. Hey, listen, I come from the thing where I used to lay hands on people and command them in the name of Jesus to be healed. You know, Philippians 2:19, therefore God has given him the name that's above every name. At the name of Jesus, every knee shall bow and every tongue shall confess it. Yeah. And within that, in the healing schools that I went to, that was where the key point of the healing is that there is a name that represents power that has this ability to literally um, cleanse out, whatever you want to say, or, you know, bind the wound. Anyway, um, yeah, Mike, I would agree with you. Yeah. Time to focus on healing souls. I think that's what it's about. It's not about winning souls. Yeah. Man, I lived that for 5 decades. It's not that at all. It's about healing. And love is a part of that healing. But what I've also found, and I had not planned any of this, but we go as the river flows, um, that when we find healing for ourselves, wow, we begin to prosper. We begin this amazing transformation. Yeah, like the song Ben Fry sings, do some soul searching. I think it might be cool. Um, I'd walk in that way because that's what really it is about. It's there's in the book of Proverbs, there's a thing that talks about children, and it warns adults not to break their spirits, break their souls, because you damage that child for the rest of their life, and they will struggle seeking to mend that which was inflicted upon them. And adults are the same way. There can be things happening with a betrayal of trust, and it attacks our souls so much to the point that, I think even when people cross over to the other side, that there is this place where some won't be there very long, some others will be there longer, that where you really have to be healed. So, I don't know. Bonnie says we also walk on our heels. Isn't that the truth? Do, 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 do. So, ba-da-ba-bum, boom. All right. So, I thought it was quite delightful. Let me know. I mean, I think that would be something. Again, um, like I said, the schools that I went through, um, it really was ministering to the soul more than it was to the body. And yeah, George Michael wrote that song about being soul sick. Yeah, it's a pretty interesting song. I digress again. Ba-doop-ba-doop-ba. What's happening, chat room? Ooh. All right. Lilith, how are you? Vegan? Vegan? Yeah. And the thing is that gets me on that one is that, that's why you have to grow your own food. Because I tell you, I don't trust a lot of the food that I see out there. I mean, it's not reasonable to believe that something would stay fresh, for like 2, 3 weeks. Vegetables, onions, I guess, and other things, but some things I'm going, wait a minute. And then you get into the whole mind trap, it's like the food we eat is the food that gives us our disease, and as our disease is then, carried over to the big pharma, who then just simply entrap us into this come on. Lawson Smith, we don't eat box food. Yeah. Um, there's a lot of truth to that. Jace, I'm having fun today. So I had this dream again. Um, and I'm telling you, I'm always led back to something that, if how many, I don't know, well, I know there wasn't a lot of you, there were others back, 2016. And I went back and looked at some of my work and I go, damn, Steiger, that's good shit, man. Where'd you get so smart? But guy says, love your local farmer. Yes, indeed. And listen, if you suffer from allergies, get the local honey. I'm telling you, you consume enough of the local honey, it'll work. I mean, I used to have allergies, Oh man, not anymore. No. Mm-mm. I'm free. But anyway, but that's true, Gaia. It is. So, so how many of you remember back 9.5 years ago when we really got into this? I was very active in the Nibiru community, as many of you know. And, people say, well, why'd you watch? I never denied that the fact of Nibiru wasn't more of a fact of a celestial body. They've passed through this solar system. Where my awakening came in was that, all right, so if this event's going to happen, what would be better spent time on, continue to feed on that, or, and as I made the decision, well, then let's get our spirit and souls in the best position. I mean, if this is the eventual reality, I'd far better, would rather be in a place where I nurtured my spirit, I fed my soul, and when I make that transition, whether I'm right or wrong doesn't matter. I still have the knowledge. And I believe that's something that each and every one of us uniquely to ourselves that we keep. The knowledge that you and I may eat off of the same fruit. Um, it has the knowledge, but the way that we absorb it into our spirits is different from each one of us. But that's what makes it fun coming together, right? Um, Chris says, I have lemon trees. That's cool. Uh, that's true, Ginger. That is true. Absolutely. So let me get right into this because I want to discuss this because if what and here's my hypothesis, which I have many. So, and I'll probably go over a little bit today because I'm feeling good about this. So Nibiru, wandering star, wandering planet, however you want to define it. I think there have been many of those that have passed through our solar system. We're not static in space. We're constantly moving through space, and we're moving through space that we haven't been through before. But within our space, we have this ever revolving space. Now, it makes space look so much spacey. But anyway, so when back in the day, Marshall McMasters was did a lot of work in compiling these ancient texts. And it's interesting because if you read this, these Egyptian priest and scribe really did, and they said that this thing has come through before. So I just thought for a little bit we might come in and kind of share a little as we get there. Da 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 da. Um, Great book, by the way. It's easily available on PDF, and if you've never read it, do yourself a favor and read it. It is freaking phenomenal. Um, so I'm going to read this. This is a quote out of the book. It says, in this manner, the first earth was destroyed by calamity, descending from out of the skies. The vaults of heaven had opened to bring forth monsters more fearsome than any that ever haunted The Uneasy Dreams of Men. And this is a great book. If you haven't, take yourself and do yourself a real favor. Because I want to just get into one of the books and then we'll get into um, the part that I want to talk about where the destroyer, because who knows? All right, so this is creation story from a different perspective, not the one that you read in the fake book called the Bible, the book of Genesis, because that was hijacked and plagiarized from the Epic of Gilgamesh. But anyway, it said mortal knowledge is circumscribed by mortal ignorance, and mortal comprehension is circumscribed by spiritual reality. It is unwise for mortal man to attempt the understanding of that which is beyond his conception, for there lies the road to disbelief and madness. Yet man is man, and ever fated to reach out beyond himself, striving to attain things which always just elude his grasp. So, in his frustration, he replaces the dimly seen incomprehensible with things within his understanding. If these things but poorly reflect reality, then is not the reflection of reality distorted, though it may be of greater value than no reflection at all? Summarization. So far better to be mad than to have nothing at all. Yikes. All right. So let's go over here, and I just need to do one thing. I think I said, what is that? Three, two, do. Do, 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 do. Give me 1 second, folks. Ba-ba-ba-ba-bum. All right. I think this is. So I want to make sure. Do, 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 do. Give me a second here because I know I do have it. And I am where I want to be. Yeah. Bum, 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 bum. So just very quickly. Now, many of you probably remember this, but it's always good to go back and look at this again and go, all right, so here we are, well over a decade later. Where are we at? So the thing is, this is the Egyptians writing what took place during the reign of, I think it was Ramses. Um, and what people read in the book of Exodus is, remember, it's one side of a story. You're never given the other side of the story. If this event took place, then what about the victims of the destruction? We never heard their side of the story. Well, this is their side of the story. Um, He said, men forgot the days of the destroyer. Only the wise know where it went and that it will return in its appointed hour. It raged across the heavens in the days of wrath, and this was its likeness. It was as a billowing cloud of smoke enwrapped in a ruddy glow. So it has this deep red color, not distinguishable in joint or limb. Its mouth was an abyss from which came flame, smoke, and hot cinders. I've read this a number of times. I've meditated on this because it's interesting to get their perspective, and I'm thinking to myself, so what is this? Is this a celestial object, or is this really a mothership or a warship? I mean, we must begin to at least have the ability to interpret what they saw and let us put in what we perceive as reality to theirs. Um, when the ages pass, certain laws operated upon the stars in the heavens. So they're saying that there is physics involved here. They have witnessed it, they've wrote it down, they know what to look for, they know how it operates. It says their ways change. There is movement and restlessness. They are no longer constant, and a great light appears readily in the skies. When blood drops upon the earth, the destroyer will appear, and mountains will open up and belch forth fires and ashes. Trees will be destroyed and all living things engulfed. Water will be swallowed up by the land, and seas will boil. Now, I wonder where Chan Thomas and the CIA got their story of the Adam and Eve apocalypse. Nina, I know you just went through that because this was around before that was. So, are we talking about that there is this visit that when the poles on the earth are in transition, that something else appears? We know every planet in our solar system is now being affected by this wave, this cloud comes and it's emitted from the core of the Milky Way. But when you get into this thing, it upsets everything. And if you look at every planet in our solar system, every one of them are being impacted, just like Earth is. Goes on to say the heavens will burn brightly and redly. There will be a copper hue over the face of the land, followed by a day of darkness. A new moon will appear and break up and fall. Well, if our moon breaks up and falls, we're screwed. I mean, don't know what it'll look like, but it's interesting because how many of you have ever been where you lived where there's forest fires and you know what the smoke will do to the sunsets, and they're just, yeah, it's got that same type of whole feeling to it. Again, I'm just going to go here just a little bit more because we'll talk probably with the ladies on this tomorrow. The people will scatter in madness. They will hear the trumpet and the battle cry of the destroyer and will seek refuge within the dens of earth. Terror will eat away their hearts, and their courage will flow from them like water from a broken pitcher. They will be eaten up in the flames of wrath and consumed by the breath of the destroyer. Well, it's a cataclysm, no doubt. I mean, if you're in this area and this is happening and you look up, yeah. And they say that this happened, it was recorded and witnessed by human beings, which tells me, okay. Now, they actually said, their scribes, I mean, one of their priests wrote that it says, to he who reads this, that if you take it seriously, you'll be amongst the very wise, because the vast majority of humans will ignore this. Yeah, okay. Thus it was in the days of the heavenly wrath, which have gone, and thus it will be in the days of doom when it comes again. The time of its coming or going are known unto the wise. These are the signs and times which shall precede the destroyer's return. 110 generations shall pass into the west. The nations will rise and fall. Men will fly in the air and as birds, and swim in the sea as fishes. Men will talk peace with one another. Hypocrisy and deceit shall have their day. Women will be as men, and men as women. Passion will be a plaything of man. Use your own interpretation. A nation of soothsayers shall rise and fall, and their tongue shall be the speech learned. A nation of lawgivers shall rule the earth and pass away into nothingness. Some believe that this is speaking of the United States, because we are considered that. Others say that this could possibly have been the old Israel. Don't know. Well, actually, I have my opinion on that, but I'll let you form your own. One worship will pass into the four quarters of the earth, taking peace, talking peace, and bringing war. A nation of the seas will be greater than any other, but will be as an apple rotten at the core and will not endure. Doge comes into mind here because now we're finding that within the United States bureaucracy that there is this culture of lawlessness. Um, they don't believe in the rule of law, fraud, abuse. I mean, yeah, and what we're seeing through the waste of all this, what's being exposed is that this is a cancer. And I don't know if the patient can be saved, but I do believe that this is talking about us, the United States. But, everyone has their own opinion. A nation of traitors will destroy men with wonders, and it shall have its day. Then shall the high strive with the low, the north with the south, and the east with the west, and the light with the darkness. Men shall be divided by their races, and children will be born as strangers among them. Brothers shall strive with brother, and husband with wife. Fathers will no longer instruct their sons, and the sons will be wayward. Women will become the common property of men, and will no longer be held in regard and respect. Then men will be ill at ease in their hearts. They will seek what they know not. Um, and uncertainty and doubt will trouble them. They will possess great riches, but be poor in spirit. Then will the heavens tremble and the earth move. Men will quake in fear, and while terror walks with them, the heralds of doom will appear. They will come softly as thieves to the tombs. Men will not know them for what they are. Men will be deceived. The hour of the destroyer is at hand. And I'll cut it off right there. We'll pick up on this. I don't know. Now, one could argue, they could say, well, Steiger, you could read that 300 years ago, and well, number one, I don't know if it was around maybe the text. I don't think so. I think it was recently discovered. But you could say, well, that could have applied for someone, in London, 17th century, or how about Boston, 18th century. I mean, but I'd only have to question, no, 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 because it was the Puritan age then. And yeah, I mean, if you brought someone from Boston in 1699 to the year 2025, they would freak out. They would say that we're all heathens, we're all demon possessed, and we're all damned to go to be eternally in hell. Hey, they burned us at the stake. So what do I? Hey, Chris, right back at you. Love and peace to you, brother. It's hot out there. um, Had fun. Let me know if you did too. Yeah, let me know by the like button. And thanks for the comments. It always helps. The AII goes, wow, those people got something going. Susie Q, how are you, darling? The American eagle is going to be renewed. He will tear out his talons. He will pull out his feathers. He will bash his beak against the rock, and he will come out a new eagle. I ain't got no problem with that. Hey, Ruben, what's up? Good to see you. Yeah, I mean, I find it odd when I read that because there is certain correlation that I can go directly to the Bible and and you're going, so which came first? Yeah. Peter, thank you, sir. Um, so if we're really deep in the kimchi, you know, you got two ways to do it. You can, complain about it or you can figure a way out of it. So I figure let's figure a way out, right? Uh, so anyway, um, who knows? Eden sends hugs and welcomes. Welcome. There we go. All right. John Price, Wayne's World. Exactly. Did y'all see that song? That one, I swear that's the funniest thing I ever sing. I wanna feel Christ and Wayne. Ah, yeah, he needed the Wayne touch. That's all I can say. Lady Ellie, much love to you as well. The Red Dragon Den, how are you? There is no rebellion that will save anyone. Yeah. Um, all right, everybody. Well, have yourself a great day. I really went much longer, but hey, sometimes, it's good to, break out of the ritual. Yeah. So we'll try a new habit, right? Billy boy, good to see you. Back in the day, peace, love, and it's the only way to do it. I mean, I know this for a fact. You had a group of people, let's say dudes. Now you can have women in there too, but you have one group that's drinking hard liquor, right? You got the other group that's just smoking the cannabis. Which group would you like to be a part of? I have seen it before. Anyway, that's all. Mary wins says we all win. All right, everybody, I got to get out of here. Jackie, thank you. See you tomorrow with the ladies. Have a great